Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this video of religious stupidity and failures. I've been doing a lot of studying, a lot of research over the last few weeks, over the last year, in fact, worldwide, through my studies within the Mazajir Cabal system books put out by Sumnus Dreadwood. More so, I've been going through a lot of other books as well as of late, such as Christian, J. Dio Christian books, that of satanic books, books on Satanism, even voodoo, Santeria even, and Santa Morte, even occult books. And I've been seeing a pattern that you don't really see within the Mazajir Cabal system. Because everything through the Mazajir Cabal system that I can tell through my own studies has been straightforward. There's nothing done to death within it. There's nothing outsourced from other traditions. When you go into the Dralith, the Alvin, this is the Fey world of magical systems. European, Scottish, Welsh, Germanic, Russian traditions of sorcery and their gods. Okay? You go into the Draconic, you're dealing with the old world thought forms on the dragon lore. Again, Fey lore, folklore. Dragons were always considered to be the top of the food chain, the most purest, the most powerful. Whereas Elven were considered to be mystical and celestial, longevity, even. They live forever, like angels and demons type stuff. Okay. The Sidi, otherwise known as Sith, okay, depending if you're into the Scottish or the Irish tradition of that folklore, really breaks it down into people of the mound, okay, not the anti-galactic empire, the stupidity that Hollywood puts out. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a nice idea having an opposing force to a Jedi, but now you have an order, a religious order put out that is recognized as an official order. They have a foundation. They use in the Sith Creed and all this other bullshit. They walk around in robes and freaking lightsabers, and now you actually have from what I can tell, an actual lightsaber that actually works. Ironic, isn't it? How one little idea of something you've read or come in contact with can spark a false religion. Prime example right there. You don't believe me? Look it up. It's called the Jedi religion. And it started out in 2005, around 2005, and by 2011, it was a recognized religious foundation. They have followers worldwide. Okay. Now, let's get into Judeo-Christian. Let's go with the King James, the New King James, the New International Version. Okay. Let's go into the Quran, the Hebrew and Jewish Bibles. Okay. Let's start out in Genesis, shall we? Okay, let's go with chapter 6. When it comes to opposing forces, children of disobedience, even. Okay. Now, according to this, the sons of God came to earth. They were in charge of educating and guiding mankind, watching over us, except for a few of them decided to take wives for themselves. Azazel, the ancient darkness, and he made a deal with Shemyaza, a much older angelic, a watcher angel. Okay. Now, this is what's a kicker is because it said that Shemyaza worked for a much older demon, Ahura Mazda. Okay. The prince of the underworld. Now, here there's also another story that goes into this as well. And I can never remember the name of this being. And I've got to go in and to my notes and actually look into this further because I haven't really found much evidence to back up this other story. So I'm not even going to get into it right now. Now, the story goes that they, according to chapter 6, verses 1 through 5, that they came down, took unto them the daughters of men as their wives, and they bore children unto them, known as those of old, wise, and renowned. Okay, those of renowned stature, known as Nephilim, half angel, half human, the half breeds. And it was said that because of this, Azazel and all those angels that followed him down here were to be wiped out, imprisoned. Okay, because they taught mankind sorcery. They taught women how to paint their faces, taught us alchemy. Now, where have we seen this story before? Hmm. Let's go back into ancient Greek, Prometheus. Okay. Prometheus stole fire from the gods, gave it to mankind so that we can live, stay warm, and forge weapons of destruction. His punishment was to be tossed out of heaven, celestial realm, and chained to the side of a mountain for all eternity, having his liver repeatedly eaten by vultures. Hmm. Sounds like Lucifer in Isaiah 14:12, who wanted to set his throne above the heavens, evolution. And he was cast out for pride, being prideful, because he thought he was better. Ironic how that goes, isn't it? So he comes to Earth. This is the first stop, and then he goes to the underworld to become the Lord of the underworld, according to Judeo Christian scriptures. But we haven't got there yet. We're still in Genesis. So God decides to flood the earth, get rid of all this evil, and sparing anything or anyone that he deemed in his favor. Shows his jealousy, right? Hmm, yeah. Even the tree of life, he even said in Genesis chapter 3, verse 5, that he feared that in the day that ye eat thereof of the tree of good and evil, life and death, that you will be as gods, knowing good and evil. Hmm. Even in Genesis chapter 3, verse 22, it clearly states that man has become like one of us, meaning other gods, right? All right, so let's go further here. Then we go further into the book of Genesis, and God tells Abraham to slaughter his only son, to sacrifice him because it's his beloved son, right? Basically, Abraham loved his son more than God. So to prove his loyalty, he is to sacrifice his own God, his own son, his own offspring. Hmm. Interesting. Now I wonder what would happen if he basically looked at God and said, "Fuck you, fuck you, plain and simple. I will not do that." Hmm. Perhaps that's why Cain murdered his own brother, Abel. It was given the mark of Cain as a warning to what would happen if anybody shed his blood. And he was doomed to live forever, a cursed man. Ironic, and that's just chapter 4, right at the beginning of chapter 4. Again, we go into the book of chapter 7 of through 19, and we see Sodom and Gomorrah, how God dispatched 2 angels. A guy, one man, offered his virgin daughters, but all these townspeople just simply wanted the angels, the males. Shows his fear of homosexuality, right? Perhaps the fear of people not living the right way for him. I mean, you consider his begotten son hung out with only males after all. Don't believe me? Look at the book, the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Even Jesus said himself, "Do not turn away little children." Ironic, isn't it? But then we go into the book of Exodus. The book of Exodus. The plagues. The burning bush. Moses. How he goes in with a rod, kills off the firstborn of every son, including animals. How he turns the river to blood, creates plagues, such like that, and then kills an entire legion of soldiers that were following. He has Moses himself go in with a rod and performs sorcery. But yet, what does the Ten Commandments say? Thou shalt not worship any idol, right? Any idol. Now, is a rod not considered an idol? Think about it. A rod, an idol. You condemn sorcery, but yet you're having your followers utilize sorcery. Isn't that considered hypocritical? Damned if you do and damned if you don't. But yet, when Moses and the Israelites flee across the Red Sea, the Pharaoh and his army follows. And he lowers the rod in the waters, destroy the Pharaoh's army. Hmm. Interesting how that is, right? But yet we see the same things throughout the entire Old Testament. The Book of Kings, Chronicles, where kings are going to war. You even have King Saul, who sends out 3 individuals during the witch trials, condemning sorcery, to go find a sorceress of great power, the Witch of Endor, because he's in the midst of a 40-year war with the Philistines, the giants of the land. And yet, and yet, the witch herself, the Witch of Endor, looks right at him and calls him out on his bullshit. Why are you trying to entrap me? And you know what's interesting? Why are you trying to entrap me? Right here, we're seeing this same stuff today in the occult community. Right here, this one little thing, bringing people together, seeing the attacks, both mystical, spiritual, physical. We're seeing this stuff. But let's go further. Let's go into the book of Isaiah. Or better yet, let's go into the book of Job. Okay, let's skip forward to the book of Job. Okay, this is really gets interesting. Chapter 1, Satan, the first mention in the Bible, naming the chief, okay, the chief of the Gorgori, the watcher angels, strolls into God's kingdom and challenges him. Bold, right? Well, you consider right here, we're seeing the Hebrew variation of his name, meaning accuser. Right here, accuser, okay? Where he says, and I quote, your children, mankind, is not living right for you. And now, this is where God becomes all prideful, okay? Prideful, much like Lucifer, okay? Who wanted to set his throne above the heavens, right? But he says, hey, have you considered my servant Job? Ding, ding, ding. God is sending Satan after Job. Ironic, isn't it? And he says, you can do whatever you want to him, but you cannot kill him. You cannot kill him. Job loses his friends, his family, his home. And he loses his life. Ironic, isn't it? Because it was too much to bear. But he didn't curse. Not once. He did not curse God. And this is what's ironic about this. Did Satan fail in his attempt? No, he literally stated that mankind was not living right for him. God was the one that ordered him to go after Job. Hmm. It's kind of like Dante's Inferno, where a cardinal betrayed him, took his land, took his family, imprisoned him, and he wrote about the 13 levels of hell, writing this scripture, this great poetical theater, theater type working that we know today, towards the sins of the cardinal, to show him the error of his ways. The same accuser, the same opposer attributes. And what happens? The cardinal takes it further. Every time they take it further. And Dante gets shunned. He gets banished from his home, his own homeland. He can never go home again. His own people want nothing to do with him. Hmm. Sounds like David and against Saul, right? But then let's go into the New Testament. You got Paul getting stoned to death because he defied. You have Satan in his Judaism perspective, the opposer, the accuser, the tempter. Matthew's chapter 4, verses 4:8 and 4:10, where he's offering things to Jesus Christi. And Jesus Christ was so proud, he couldn't even submit, humble himself to even consider it. Now, and in my last video, when I talked about Beelzebub and Satan and some of those mystical texts, those stories about how Satan took over and became the head and Beelzebub second in command. Beelzebub meaning Lord, Lord of the dung. And you see how various individuals, such as Judas Iscariot, according to Dante's Inferno, the left in the very bowels of hell, the very bottom, the devil's encased in fire and brimstone. And the left hand is reserved for all those who betray. Reserved for all those who betray. Ironic, isn't it? Now look at the world below today. You got the partisans. 54% stood against Trump, which is why he got impeached. You look at the Catholic Church with how many child molesters there are in there. They repent and they move to a new location for new victims. You got these communities stopping looking at a child's actions for drawing down on an officer to a point where the officer has to defend himself and puts that kid down. You got all this hatred being spread worldwide. The betrayers, not just here, but also in the mystical community, the magical communities. Are you not considered the Anglo-Saxon version of the term warlock, the oathbreaker and betrayer? Think about it. If it's in all these other religions and how they incorporate themselves, like the Bokor and Wudan, the Dralic and Druidism, meaning dark oak. To the point where we need task forces to investigate occult criminal activities or religious crimes. Yeah, they're all over YouTube, they're all over Facebook. They're all over the world. This is nothing new. It's been going on for hundreds, if not thousands of years. West Egg, that's for another video. In fact, I actually did a video on that years ago. But perhaps it is a good time to do an updated video later on that one. And I will do one for you. That I promise you. So, anyways, I want you to take a good look around you in your communities, on your friends lists. And I want you to take a look at their actions. You don't have to allow yourself to be dragged down into a subdivision or into adversities. Just sit back, because 9 times out of 10, these individuals, these leeches that are trying to do you harm, to play games, to bring drama into your life, they're going to defeat themselves and show the world exactly who they are. There are some members of the community that has betrayed so many people in the occult community that they don't want nothing to do with them. That the community doesn't want anything to do with these individuals anymore. Some repeatedly apologize just so they can find new victims. You see, it's not just in Satanism, it's not just in dark sorcery, practices. It's not just in Voodoo or Santa Morte, Quimbanda, Umbanda, or even Christianity. Even in Islamic traditions. Look at Iblis. Okay, look at demonolatry. You see it in the gods. You see it all the way dwindling down into the legal system and into the communities. It's worldwide, both magical and non-magical communities, the mundane and the spiritual communities. It's everywhere. So how do you protect yourself against this stupidity? Well, I would recommend seals, wardings even, both of protection, cloaking, and other things. Hell, even put some devil traps up if you wish, some reversals. The best way to start is to start on a strong foundation. Remember the 21 satanic points? Build not for today or to build not upon sand, but upon rock. Do not build for today or yesterday, but for all time. You see, this means you have to build a strong foundation to create something better, to build on top of it. Think of Lego blocks. Same exact thing. You gotta build it strong. A strong foundation creates a better tomorrow. So, with that said, think about this today. And I'll be back in the next few days to do another video. And I think my next video will actually be on both Satan and Lucifer. And I think that would be good. And one of West Egg, I would recommend taking a look at Asenath Mason's book. I want to say it's Draconic or The Rights of Lucifer. It's one of those two books. I can't remember exactly which one it is, but she does it from an ancient Greek perspective, and it's spectacular. There's a lot of information there. All right, but I got to head to work, so have a good day, and I will see you in the next day or so. All right, Agios Satanis, my friends. Have a good night. Keep those horns up.